Democrats are celebrating several wins this week in the first election since Donald Trump returned to the Oval Office. The gubernatorial races in New Jersey and Virginia were closely watched, both states electing Democratic women, as well as the New York City mayoral race, which elected a candidate that identifies as a Democratic socialist. But even in many local races, Democrats outperformed, breaking a GOP supermajority in Missouri's legislature and turning out in Georgia's Public Service Commission race, which has not elected Democrats in 2 decades.
We just lost a couple of elections that were very Democrat areas. Maybe won't be full. They weren't very Democrat when I ran a year ago because I did well in those areas. But we just lost an election, they said, based on affordability. It's a con job by the Democrats.
The American people are so concerned about the American dream slipping away. They are looking for candidates that are focused on their everyday concerns and needs, and that starts with their job and whether they can afford what they need to feed their family, maybe take them on a vacation every once in a while.
With all of Kentucky's congressional seats on the ballot next year, including that closely watched open seat here in central Kentucky and our Senate election, should Democrats be energized, or is Kentucky largely insulated from the political swing? Senator Funke Frommeyer, I'll go ahead and let you start the conversation here. Do you think that there's any sort of shifting strategy among Republicans after this week's elections?
You know, I do believe that the Republicans are very concerned about the health and the wellness of our families, of our communities. Certainly the election in particular in New York that I believe rattles me, as I think that was a bit of a cry for help around the economic challenges. But unfortunately, that's become quite a Democratic city that maybe not entirely surprising that it went blue, but the reality that I mentioned before, I'm a parent, and we have 5 kids in that age between their 20s and their 30s. And these economics have been tough, especially the cost of housing and such. But we're particularly careful in Kentucky around those issues.
Yeah, there's definitely, everybody's feeling a pinch right now. For Democrats, do you all see a way for keeping the momentum for an entire year all the way to November? Does something change?
Yeah, I think we as the Democratic Party have got to continue to focus on the issues that people care about the most. We've got to focus on affordability, good jobs, public safety, public schools. People want to live and work and play in an area where they think that they're safe, that they can provide for their family, and they're going to be able to, live in a workable environment. And so the Democratic Party, we've got to continue to focus on those core issues that matter most to the families every day. And I do think we've got momentum. History is on our side. Usually in the midterm of the sitting president, the other party does well. We did well during Trump's first term in the 18 midterm, and I think you're going to see a very similar result this time come election day.
This time last year, the governor wrote an op-ed about moving more towards the center instead of political extremes. That doesn't appear to be the appetite of Democrats, going off this week's elections. Why do you think that is? What do you think that means for yourself?
I don't agree with that. I would think that the Democratic Party is a very big tent party. The 2 female governors that won, both in New Jersey and in Virginia, I think are moderates. They had public service in their background. One of them was in the Navy. I think they're very moderates, and so the Democratic Party is a very big tent party. And I think that at the end of the day, people want to vote for people who care about them, who's going to help them in their day-to-day lives. And I think that was the message that all of our candidates across the spectrum got across this last week, and that's why we had a good election day. About
a minute left here. For you, Senator Funke Frommeyer, is there a policy area that you think the Trump administration should perhaps shift on to win back some of your more moderate voters?
That's a great question. One of the gifts and talents I believe we have in Kentucky is abundant resources. We're working with such diligence, and energy independence is so crucial. I can't necessarily say, but from a national standpoint, that's a national security issue. Kentucky's great in that area. We're kind of leading the way even in the nuclear story right now out of Paducah. But I think we need to continue to pursue that energy independence, and that will help affordability as we've seen it at the gas pump.